Malti, please start.
Shall I start, Usha?
Yeah, please start.
Okay. First of all, good morning, friends. I request all of you to please mute your devices. Usha, I hope I'm being audible.
Yes,
you are.
Okay, thank you. A very good afternoon to all the respected scholars, faculty members, resource persons, and participants gathered here today. On behalf of the Shakespeare Society of Central India and the collaborating departments of English of Dr. S.C. Gulhane, PRERNA College of Commerce and Science, Nagpur, SANTAJI Mahavidyalaya, Nagpur, HISLOP College, Nagpur, J.M. Patel Arts, Commerce and Science College, Bhandara, and Dr. MADHUKARRAO, WASNIK, P.W.S. Arts, Commerce and Science College, Nagpur. It is my immense pleasure to welcome you all to Day 2 of the National Online Certificate Course in Shakespearean Studies. We are delighted to continue this enriching journey into the world of the bard with each one of you. At the outset, we express our heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Tapati, President of the Shakespeare Society of Central India, and Dr. Usha Sakure, Secretary of the Shakespeare Society of Central India, whose vision and scholarly commitment continue to guide and inspire this Panzari, Dr. Prashant Shedke, Dr. Pradeep Meshram, Dr. Pradnya Bagde. We further extend our warm thanks to the coordinators whose meticulous efforts have made this program possible. Mrs. Nehal Bakunde, Dr. Nihal Sheikh, Dr. Karthik Panikar, and Dr. Sudesh Bhovate. We are fortunate to have Dr. Urmila Dabir, Principal of Dr. S.C. Gulhane, PRERNA College of Commerce and Science, as our guiding force. A distinguished academician, Dr. Dabir has held several prominent positions in the university with great aplomb. She served as the chairperson of the Board of Studies in English and played a key role in introducing significant reforms in the English curriculum at RTM Nagpur University. May I now please request Dabir ma'am to kindly address the participants. Over to you, Dabir ma'am.
Thank you, Malti. President of CLIC and Shakespearean Society of Central India, Dr. Tapti De, Secretary Dr. Usha Sakure, members of Shakespearean Society family, Honorable Resource Person Dr. Krishnan, esteemed principals of coordinating colleges, faculty members, and dear participants. It's my honor and privilege to be a part of CLIC and Shakespearean Society of Central India for many, many years now. It's been more than 2 decades that we are committed to organize these academic ventures. When certificate courses were not in practice or not heard of also, Dr. Pranoti Chakravarti had a vision ahead of times and introduced certificate course in Shakespearean studies to acquaint students of the Elizabethan age and to the immortal works of Shakespeare. The students have exposure to times and age of Shakespeare and also have the privilege to listen to the scholarly resource persons of national repute. This course was initially carried out for the students of Nagpur alone, but now, with the advent of time and technology, it is online and on national scale to reach to more students and benefit them. On behalf of all of us, I appreciate the efforts of Dr. Usha Sakure to carry forward the legacy of Dr. Chakravarti. I wish success to this course. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Urmila ma'am. As Dr. Urmila just told us, the Shakespeare Certificate course is designed to provide learners with a rich and multidimensional understanding of Shakespeare, his life, his dramatic and poetic achievements, and the extraordinary legacy he has left on the world literature. As Shakespeare reminds us in Hamlet, what a piece of work is man. This course invites participants to explore how Shakespeare's deep insight into human nature continues to illuminate our understanding of identity, power, emotion, and morality. This is precisely what Dr. Supanta Bhattacharya offered us yesterday when he guided us through Shakespeare's compelling exploration of the psychology of power. His lecture demonstrated how the bard, long before the emergence of modern psychology, anticipated complex ideas about ambition, authority, guilt, and corruption. Dr. Bhattacharya illustrated how Richard III embodies Machiavellian strategies of power. Macbeth and Lady Macbeth reveal the moral decay caused by unchecked desire. Richard II shows how fragile authority becomes when a ruler loses the trust of his subjects. Dr. Bhattacharya also highlighted how concepts from Foucault and Freudian psychoanalysis can be applied to Shakespeare's characters, underscoring the timeless nature of the bard's insights into the human condition. It was indeed a rich and thought-provoking beginning to our course. Today, Day 2 celebrates Shakespeare's extraordinary linguistic genius, how he transformed everyday speech into enduring poetry, coined expressions that still echo in our vocabulary and shape the very texture of the English language. As Shakespeare writes in A Midsummer Night's Dream, the poet's eye in a fine frenzy rolling doth glance from heaven to earth, from earth to heaven. Today, we explore that very spark of imaginative brilliance, and to lead us into it, we are truly honored to have with us Dr. Murali Krishnan, TR, Professor and Head, Department of English, Sri Sankaracharya University of Sanskrit, Kerala. With over 30 years of teaching experience, Dr. Murali Krishnan is a distinguished scholar whose academic journey includes degrees, MA from Mar Ivanius College, Tiruvananthapuram, MPhil from Pondicherry University, and his doctorate from the Department of Linguistics, University of Kerala. He qualified the UGC NET JRF in 1993 and has since established himself as a respected academic voice. His scholarly contributions include numerous articles and research papers in refereed national and international journals, book chapters and edited volumes, 59 invited lectures as a resource person and 18 chaired sessions, 6 academic events organized, 41 research citations reflecting the influence of his work. He is also an esteemed NAC assessor and a member coordinator, contributing significantly to quality assurance in higher education across India. Additionally, Dr. Murali Krishnan has completed 2 major research projects, one funded by the UGC and another by the British Council India. In every sense, Dr. Murali Krishnan is a scholar of depth, erudition, and linguistic insight, an ideal guide for today's exploration into Shakespeare's mastery of language. It is my great pleasure to now invite Dr. Murali Krishnan TR to lead us into the fascinating world of Shakespeare's wordsmith wonder. Sir, the virtual platform is now all yours.
Thank you, Dr. Malti, and I hope I'm audible on the other side. Am I audible there?
Yes, sir, you are.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the nice words. It's a rather a very long introduction. I should have restricted my profile there, by sending only few sentences. I don't know why they have read everything, but anyhow, I'm happy. I've been a regular traveler to Maharashtra for NAG purposes. So the amount of love and affection that I have received from Maharashtra is, I should say, immense. I would say that. Now, thank you for inviting me to this very important seminar, online certificate course rather. conducted by Shakespeare Society of Central India, and that too in collaboration with colleges, especially PRERNA College of Commerce, Nagpur, and of course other colleges. And I think I don't know how far I can do justice in a matter of 1 hour, because when I went through the entire gamut of the possibility of dealing with a topic like this, I found that it is almost suitable for a 6-month course in a university. That is the kind of range it has. And but I would certainly congratulate the organizers, because they have identified the topic for me, and they have given a few suggestions, out of which I took up this as one, which because it's close to my heart. And earlier, on a previous occasion, I have also spoken to a group of researchers and scholars in the same forum a few years back, maybe 1 or 2 years back. Maybe that must have been one of the reasons why I was again invited. Thank you very much. Now, I've shared already my slide, because there is some kind of a lag regarding my connectivity because of some seasonal issues here, because we are having rain in Kerala. So I have requested the organizers to share the slide so that I can take you to that particular platform, so that I can create an interface when I speak, so that it will be easy for you as well as for me. Thank you. Yeah, it is now available there. So it's something like Wordsmith Wonders. So thank you for putting up that particular what we call as the screen. Now, moving on to my responsibility of dealing with a topic like this, I would say that I have identified 3 to 4 like parts or different stages as far as the presentation is concerned. If at all there is a gap in my speech, or if at all there is a problem, please call me, or please inform me immediately. Okay, because I might continue to lecture without even recognizing that I have lost connectivity. So if there is some problem, please call me up. I am giving this request or suggesting this to the organizers. Thank you. Now, moving on to, okay, thank you very much. Now what I have suggested, as far as the topic is concerned, I shall be moving on to different parts. As I have said, first I'll go to the area where we have what we call as the possibility of exploring the linguistic environment in which Shakespeare wrote. That is very important, because to speak about Shakespeare, especially regarding his vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, whatever it be, we need to find out the kind of condition in which he has written. Secondly, we need to focus on the vocabulary, that is the coinages, which are very popular during those days. Then I'll take up individually place and certain words for explication and further explanation. And the last part, I'll tell you from where I have got these very important information, and how do we computationally or probably systematically find out and identify the words and the possibilities of getting into that. That's very important. Now, I request the person who is dealing with the screen sharing to go to the next slide. Yeah, thank you. As I said, in the 16th century, there is this transformation happening in the society. Especially, I'm talking about the English society, the linguistic environment. Now, you can see some movement as far as what we call as far as the shape of language is concerned, from Old English to Middle English, and Middle English to the early modern English. It's very important. So I'm sure the participants sitting here, those who are professors and researchers, they have this basic idea about what happened during the arrival of Angles, Saxons, and Jutes and then of course early Britons and Romans. I'm not going to all that now. Now, after that, with the during the days of heptarchy, and after that, with the consolidation of what we call as the Germanic nature of Old English, up to around 10th century. After that, you have what we call as the veritable existence of, it is there, what we call as the Old English. Soon after that, with the arrival of Norman conquest, we call it as the 1066 Norman conquest, we have slowly, what we call as the change that is happening in the linguistic phenomena as far as the English language is concerned, or the native language is concerned. So one language and gets in touch with the other language for social and political reasons. And then we identify that by around 11th and 12th century, you have what we call that, depending on the social and the political nature, at that time. That's very important. So until around 13th century, English was not even considered as a major language at all, but later on it asserted its identity. And by around 1400, by around, Chaucer and all, you have the form of what we call as the Middle English, and then the standardized form of Middle English, and from there, you have the switch over to the early modern English. I restrict myself to the early modern English because of that. This transformation, in terms of vocabulary, in terms of grammar, in terms of pronunciation, this is connected with Renaissance, of course. Now, this feature we need to keep in our mind to understand Shakespeare, to understand the English language as such, because that is how we need to focus on, because this is something related to the historical linguistic study. So, next slide, please. Yeah. Now, then we have this arrival of the printing press, 1476. We all know that the William Caxton's printing press, early, the first, I should say, the printing press that was situated there. And then you have the standardization of language in terms of circulation of what we call as English Bible, some text, even secular text. For example, Thomas Mallory's The Death of Arthur, for example, Le Morte de Arthur. That particular book came into popularity, I should say, reached its popularity. Many people bought that book. It's of course, you cannot compare that to the present day text or book, but at least in its crude form, we can say that those who are able to read, those who can afford to buy a book, they bought such books, and this became slowly and slowly as a I should say a mark of what we call as literacy, as well as converting the society, what we call as maturing itself into the arena of converting that or that society into understanding literature as such. So this transformation happened during that particular period. That is one very important aspect. Go to the next slide, please. Now you can see that, as I have told you, during Henry VIII, father of Queen Elizabeth, now people finally they started reading what we call as Bible as they understood, and this went to the common man, the understanding of Bible, because of course, the religious reasons. And the religion was a major issue at that time. The Puritan form, and maybe what we call as the two versions, two factors that are happening, the what we call as the European influence as such, and the Protestant church, which was emerging at that time. So even Bible was a location of contest, or what we call as discussion there. So that way, you have what we call as translation of Bible, appropriation of that into accommodating the Protestant church, and all that. This happened during that particular century. We call it as the 16th century. This is another factor. Go to the next slide. Now, when Shakespeare started writing, there is another phenomena that was happening because of colonization. Because slowly and slowly, we have, English Navy, or what we call as the naval forces, and the seafarers. They started moving into various continents, and they brought back many specimens, including what we call as words, language, animals, people, and all that, for the sake of enriching and confirming that they have gone to these places. They have taken these as specimens to exhibit before the crowd, that these are the things that we have got or received when we went to the unknown shores of the East. So that was also happening at that time. So this can be linked with some of the passages when we read Othello, for that matter. So when Othello tried to narrate his past experiences with Desdemona's father, there is some kind of a connectivity that is happening there. So you have commerce, you have war, and you have colonization. These three factors created a kind of a contact, created a very important contact with the people there. That is one. So this activity brought in a lot of words wherein which translation was not possible. So the only possible means of doing it was adoption. So they adopted words and phrases from other languages, and some people modified it for the sake of making it familiar among the English readers or the users of the language there. So that one very important aspect actually enriched. And this is something totally different from what we have understood, or what we have seen in the previous ages, say 12th century or 13th century. But now by around 16th century, you have a totally different kind of in England as such. Okay, move on to the next, please. Now we are moving on to the idea of coinages. So this is a crucial area. Now Renaissance actually at that time proved very important among people, especially in terms of adopting, making use of different words, and creating words. From here, I'll specifically move on to what we call as a linguistic phenomena of coinages, wherein which how this trend later on got adopted into the writing of Shakespeare. So Shakespeare got some material, but he actually transformed it in such a way by which he used all these words in different plays, his sonnets and all that, in a way in which it became rather too I should say too vast for people to understand, because he has used more than 20,000 words according to one analysis. So that is one very important aspect there. Now moving on to this particular, when we actually read that, don't change that slide now. So you have this different words coming up. Look at those words which are given in the blue color there. Now these words used it for the sake of understanding that, for the sake of using it for a particular purpose. But later on, they knew that this is not possible every time, so that it went out of favor. So those words are given there. Now those words are not there; it has completely vanished. For example, a list like uncounselable, eximious, anacephalize, derancinate. Now look at the word. It has these words. They have this Latin kind of an influence in its formation, or in the formation of such words. And they didn't have that kind of a longevity as far as the existence is concerned. So this is one starting point, and it's a very important starting point for us. The reason is, it is from this particular angle that Shakespeare knew that there is this possibility of experimenting with, that's a very important point here, experimenting with language to create new words and blending words, coinages, such technique is possible. Okay, go to the next.
Now, I request Anushka Jagtap to please mute her device. Anushka Jagtap. Admins, please take note.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. Now, you can see that certain words survived. For example, a word like expede, something like which is we can be considered as a parallel to impede, and similarly a word like cohibit. Cohibit is almost similar to inhibit. Now, such words survived, over a period of time. And you can also have words like, for example, demit, very common at that time. And then you have what we call as, which is almost something like dismiss, but because that is a replacement. Dismiss is actually a word which came as an alternative to demit, which is now considered as an archaic word. You have a word like execate, which is actually replaced by desiccate. It is still there. Emacerate is now replaced by emaciate. Consolate is now replaced by console. Denounce is actually a replacement of denunciate. As you can see, the word denounce comes thrice, 3 times. So when I put a number there in bracket, I request my participants that yellow color and the bracket is a direct reference to the number of times Shakespeare has used that word in his plays and sonnets. So in his works, in general, I would say. So denounce you can find in 3 places. And similarly, a word like disabuse, disacquaint. Now, those words were once popular, but later on, such disformations, words beginning with the prefix dis, those words were abandoned. But you have, for example, Shakespeare's word disquantity. It comes only once in one of his plays. And similarly, exorbitate was there earlier, but that was replaced later on by exorbitant. So when I say these changes, of course, there are certain theories and linguistic explanation possible, but as I have told we don't have that kind of a time to discuss each and every word. That is why I'm not going to the details. Otherwise, I could have easily given explanation to one or the other phenomena that helps us to look into the reasons why these words got altered into the modern version. But we don't have time to go into such finer aspects within this limited time. Okay, go to the next, sir. Madam, next one. Yeah. Now, again, as I have told you, during Renaissance, we have lots of Greek and Latin words coming up. And you can see words like criterion, lexicon, thermometer, these words came into existence. And words which are using Latin as their, what we call as root word, or maybe when you look into the etymology. Now, when you look into that, you can see such words are retained with minor changes by bringing in the English kind of a touch or the familiar English form. So that is why the words which end up with TAS, TAS, Antia, Bilis and all that were later converted into TANCE and BLE. Now this is a very interesting process that happens during that particular early modern English time, especially during the days of Shakespeare. And Shakespeare has used the word abject 14 times. Now that is also, the word abject came because of the influence of Renaissance. So such coinages came into popularity and these words were picked up by writers like Shakespeare. So when you look into, ultimately you can say like this, we can see that some of the words actually went out of favor. The reason is, there are so many reasons. I can point out at least 2 or 3. First one, people found that these words are too pedantic. It is very difficult and it can be used only by the learned minority. And some words are redundant because you have similar words in this particular context, so they never use it, redundant. And you have this, or some people found it rather awkward to use such expressions. And some people found that it is unnecessary. Now, why should we have such a kind of a word? Now, this is one principle that really happened, or that really went into the formation of this particular linguistic climate when Shakespeare started writing. Okay, we'll move to the next slide. The basic rule I have identified like this. Now, why Shakespeare use all these terms, and why we have this kind of a variety? Very simple. Despite his what we call as the rather a modest kind of a learning, of, I should say, compared to the other scholars of those times, he actually loved the language, and he'll always that is the general assumption there. He liked to have a kind of a play with the language there, and he loved it. So that must be one of the reasons why you have this kind of variety in Shakespearean plays. Go to the next slide. You can have the first data related to that. You can see that he has used more than 20,000 words. This is one very important, interesting statistics as far as Shakespeare is concerned. When you analyze his or calculate the number of words, when you read it, and when you computationally kind of analyze it, you can find that in his plays as well as in poems, he has used around 20,000 words. And it is impossible, as I have given it here, it is impossible to find out how many of these words are created by Shakespeare, but at least we know now that at least as a writer, he must have created at least around 1,700, This is one particular theory that has come up regarding Shakespearean kind of use of language, or his the Shakespeare as a linguistic phenomenon, we can say like that. Okay, go to the next, please. Now I'll take up a few examples. Look at the word which is given there. It is outbreak. So outbreak is a word that is used in Hamlet. And this is used when the character Polonius, when he addresses his son Laertes, he says like this: but breathe his falls so quaintly, that they may seem the taints of liberty, the flash and outbreak of a fiery mind, a savageness in unreclaimed blood of general assault. And this is taken from Act 2, Scene 1. So you have this word, like a combination of word, flash and outbreak. Now, this word is used as a kind of what? A possible eruption that can happen in the mind of Laertes. But now, outbreak is used in a different sense. For example, outbreak of riot, outbreak of violence and all that. But, or maybe emotion, energy and all that. But that particular expression was used to indicate a kind of an eruption in the mind of the character there. So that is one way of looking. Another word you can see in the next slide. Say, for example, the word blushing. Okay, then go to the next slide, please. Blushing is another interesting word. This came to popularity during 1597, and Shakespeare has used that word 28 times, blushing. And of course, as you know, and he cannot but use this word in Romeo and Juliet. You can see that particular expression there. My lips, two blushing pilgrims, ready stand to smooth that rough touch with a tender kiss. Act 1, Scene 5. So you have that word blushing coming up. Actually, blushing here means to become pink or red as far as your face is concerned, but maybe a part of shame or a kind of an embarrassment or maybe some reason. Whereas Romeo uses this word, if you look at that from maybe around for the last 600 years, the sense of the word must have altered a bit. He wants to say that his lips are rosy colored, that's all. So blushing is one interesting word. You can find Shakespeare using that word around 28 times. Go to the next word, next slide. This one is cold-blooded. Very interesting word, cold-blooded. Cold-blooded, now he used this only once, and it appears in the play King John. And here a character called Constance, he says like this, "Thou cold-blooded slave, hast thou not spoke like thunder on my side?" Act 3, Scene 1. So you now understand what cold-blooded means. Earlier in those days, people believed that what? Your blood temperature would rise when you are excited, and that is what they would no. Still we believe like that as far as our pseudoscience is concerned, but we now know it is not like that. When you don't show or when you don't express any emotion, they say that it is a cold-blooded slave. Now no, you act. Cold-blooded means you are deliberately cruel and you don't express any sympathy or pity. Now, that is how it is used now. So cold-blooded is another expression that he has used in that particular context. Go to the next, sir. You have the word fashionable. And he has used this word fashionable twice. One in Timon of Athens and once in Troilus and Cressida. And in the second play, Ulysses says like this, that for time is like a fashionable host that slightly shakes his parting guests by the hand, and with his arms outstretched as he would fly, grasps in the corner, in the comma. Now that happens in Act 3, Scene 3. So here he uses the word fashionable, and it means popular. That is the sense in which he expresses that word. Now it has got several meanings. We don't want to go into the details here. Go to the next slide. Interesting, this is another word, swagger. So swagger, actually he is used with the root word swag, meaning to sway, changing position to sway, etc. And he used this word so many times, at least when you look into the word SWAG, swag, he uses this word 12 times in his plays. So it is given there in Henry IV, Part 2. So the innkeeper, mistress, quickly using this particular word. If he is swagger, let him not come here. No, by my faith, I must live among my neighbors. I'll know no swaggers. I'm in good name and fame with the very best. Shut the door. There comes no swaggerers here. I have not lived all this while to have swaggering now. Shut the door, I pray you. It is in Act 2, Scene 4. So you have this word being used in different forms, as in swag, swagger, swaggerer, swaggering. Now this is one way of adopting to the new and new circumstances. Sorry. No, sorry. Go to the next slide. Now, I don't want to prolong this, picking up word after word in different places. Now, I'll try to summarize that here. Now, when you look into the list of words, you can see words which became very fashionable or rather attractive in those days. These are some of the words. So, for example, accommodation, you can find being used twice. Bum, the word, it has been used once. Countless, 4. Dislocate, it is used once. Exposure, the word exposure has been used twice. Frugal, it has been used twice. Gloomy, it has been used thrice. Like that, when you, and even words like, for example, when you look into the right side, reliance, for example, it has been used once. So why I refer to the statistical information is that, there are many other words used by Shakespeare, and it is generally agreed upon by linguists and say, for example, people who study literature from that particular perspective, they say that Shakespeare must be the first person to use such expressions. Okay, go to the next slide. And he also has this unique ability to create words by adding prefixes. So that is why you have a word like, for the first time, writing uncomfortable. Until then it was comfortable, but he added a prefix, and there you find that in Romeo and Juliet. And he actually borrowed a word from Italian, and he used it as bandito. You know the word bandit. So the etymology, when you study the word, you can see that it comes from Italian, bandito, but he used it as such in many of his plays. And similarly, he has coined words like lackluster in As You Like It, dog-hearted. It's a kind of a blend, which is hyphenated, I should say, dog-hearted, King Lear, outjust again from King Lear. And you have new metaphors or new expressions with emotional content. For example, eyeball. It has been used 6 times. Disheartened. It has been used twice. Now, all these are a kind of an experiment that he has conducted over a period of time, by which you can identify certain words which are, I should say, a contribution made by Shakespeare. Go to the next, sir. Now, there is one popular opinion, of course, it's academic also, that he has that, when you look into the number of words that a writer possessed, and there is only one, maybe, which we can now understand that during that particular time, during 16th century and all, there is one historian and school teacher and art critic called Philemon Holland. Except for this person, it is generally considered that among English writers, Shakespeare possessed the largest, I should say, vocabulary as far as English language is concerned. And he has also popularized, or at that time, introduced many words into English. And now it is still there among our common discourse, among our daily usage. For example, a word like agile, he has used it twice. Antipathy, he has used it once. Catastrophe, he has used it 4 times. Critical, twice. Demonstrate, 6 times. Emphasis, twice. And he has also borrowed the words from Romance languages. And he has used as such, for example, a word like cavalier, twice. Pell-mell, 4 times. Mutiny, 27 times. And renegado, once. Now, all these are there as part of his rich vocabulary that he has given to us. And it is interesting that, that is a very, very, very important observation, because they were all new to the language as such. And when he used it, this word or these words came into currency only 1 or 2 years before that. So he was sensitive to the trendy words. That is also an interesting observation. Now he is aware of the trend that is happening, the changes that were happening at that time, and he accommodated those words so that it can be part of his, what we call as his drama, by which people connected with what is happening then, because they know that these words are new. And when he used that word, or when he decided to use that word, he knew that this is going to be connected with the common man, the common folk, the 1 penny audience. So that is why when Falstaff is using a word, people laugh, because that is a word which is very new, maybe 3 or 4 years back. And then naturally the people who sat in the front laughed without any kind of an inhibition, because they know that the character, even though originally must have been 2 or 3 centuries back, he is now using a word which is popular among the contemporary Elizabethan audience. So that way, he used a number of words, which is now a very popular kind of a technique used by film writers. Okay, go to the next slide, please. And then you have a list of words. For example, the major earliest recorded use of major English words. For example, assassination. It is used once. Frugal twice. Premeditated. It's a very difficult word at that time, but he has used that 4 times. Submerged. It is used once. So that means, he is such a kind of a writer by which he understood the potential of that word quite early, and then that was accommodated into the discourse or the script that he tried to share with the audience. And look at the word communicate. Actually, it originally meant to share, not exchange of information. When you look into the word communicate, he has used it 6 times in his books. He has used the word expect. Expect means at that time, it meant to await, and it is used in The Merchant of Venice. Atone now it means to make amends, but originally it meant to reconcile, and that was used 10 times in his place. So that is also a very important insight as far as the use of the words are concerned. Go to the next slide, please. Now, next slide. You can see that this is a comparison which I took from the Elizabethan language terms. It is published by Contemporary Elizabethan. That is a very important, interesting source. You can see the comparison between the present day English and the Elizabethan English. On the right side, I have taken from that particular site the words which are understood at that time in a given sense. Say, for example, the word counsel. And in the present day, it is connected with advice. So Elizabethan people use the word counsel, but in the contemporary sense, it is used in the word advice. That is why we have a word like counseling, for example. And there are so many, you can say, I don't want to read all that, but you can see that, this is how you can connect yourself with the Elizabethan times even, and the sense is also changing. There is a definite transformation that is happening to the sense or the semantic load of the given word as far as the expressions are concerned. Say, for example, a word like marry, and it is actually related to not a contemporary sense, but actually it means by Virgin Mary. By Virgin Mary. And there are so many words like that, when you and adieu, for example. Elizabethan is adieu, but now we call it as farewell. Go to the next slide. Next. Now you have, for example, those days, fare thee well, God save thee, I shall see thee, and for example, those words are there. And now it is goodbye, in the sense, God be with you. That is how it is understood now, but originally all that, So why I have listed this, because just to make sure that you understand the given list of words, the semantic sense in which those words were used during Elizabethan times, and how the present day audience would understand the words in the modern sense or the contemporary sense. Go to the next slide. Go to the next. No, the previous slide. Yeah, the last one there. Yeah. Now you have after this. Yeah, exactly. Now you have this again, same kind of a list. You have a list of words from the Elizabethan perspective. The meaning of those are given there, and then you can see how this is connected to the modern English also. Say, for example, a word like decree, which is a legal kind of a term, and in the contemporary sense, we understand that as an order. So this is one way of looking at the sense in which Shakespeare or the Elizabethan people use the word and how do we understand it now. So this is one. Go to the last part. Next slide. Now I'll tell you there is no. Just before that. Yeah. Stop there. Yeah, very important. Now the entire discussion that I have based upon, I would say, I have made use of this very important source, and it is called the open source Shakespeare.org. So I request the researchers and the young fellows among the audience to go to this particular site to find out a kind of a quantitative analysis of Shakespearean vocabulary. So when I say a particular word is used twice, thrice, etc., there is no secret. I have used this particular website. And then you can, even to some extent, convert that into a qualitative sense also. See, for example, the word like rose. Rose is used 155 times, means that connects with the theme that Shakespeare generally, especially in terms of sonnets, especially his early romantic plays and all. Romantic in the sense where you have love as a theme. And I would say comedy. Yeah, that is what. And for example, the word love, it is used 2,209 times. You can find it from the source, this particular website. Madness is a very important thing. And I'm sure the speaker yesterday must have referred to all that, a few psychological disorders and all. Madness, it is used 1,642 times. And if you are searching for God, you will get references up to around 1,178 times. And if you are interested in devil, the presence is only 270. So you can see, and again, if you read tragedies, death is around 844 times. Priest, 81 times. Revenge, 215 times. Now, why I say all this? Because you can get a quantitative as well as a qualitative measure of what Shakespeare does as far as the use of words are concerned. So this way, I suggest the students in the group, the young teachers in the group, to make use of this particular site in such a way by which you can figure out at various levels, statistically and quantitatively. That is why I use the word statistically there. The number of times a particular word has been, and you can also get the source from which play, which scene, which act. You will get precise information. So this is the basis of my entire discussion. And when I say word, a particular word, actually I have made use of this. So there are so many computational kind of tools available now, in which you can make use of such a kind of an analysis. You can study Shakespeare from a different perspective, and that will help you to nourish and enrich and come up with a different kind of an angle or a perspective to understand the great writer. So when I say wordsmith and a wondersmith related to that, the wonder is because how a man of this kind of a modest background come up with this kind of a writing. And that is why you have numerous theories whether a person like Shakespeare ever lived. Is it possible for a human being to write all that, to use all these words? And there are interesting comments like Shakespeare is from the Arab nation, Middle East, Shakespeare is from India, all that, like interesting words are also there. There is one humorous joke that Shakespeare is from India because his name is Sheshappa Iyer. No, just the joke, don't take it seriously. And his name is Sheikh Zubair because he came from the Middle East. Now, again, don't take me seriously. Now, why is because it's a phenomenon. He is such a phenomenon by which, how come a person like this write all that, use all these words? So please, take him seriously in the sense, I'm sure the entire course is on Shakespeare. I know you have different angles and different perspectives and all that, And this approach can take you to a kind of an analysis of Shakespeare from a linguistic perspective. That is why I have used this particular session for coming up with an argument like this. Now, why I have taken up, if you logically analyze the way in which I have presented this, I have told you English at that time was in a state of flux, and that was an advantage for Shakespeare because it was the period of Renaissance. He could bring in, he has that like fortune of assembling different words and like sourcing out different words from different backgrounds. Different texts were available, and he made use of that. He learned all those. He used it in his different, and he got the opportunity to make use of that, in different place, around 36, 37 plays he wrote, and he made those in his writings. That is why people said, no, it's a very popular quotation. If had Shakespeare been alive now, he would have been busy in Hollywood writing different films. So, or directing different films. Now, he had that opportunity to experiment with all that. So, a liking towards a newly enriched language like English, adopting that, borrowing words, writing scripts based on the available legends that are there, in the English tradition. We call it as histories or medieval themes or tragedies or comedies and all that. And we have conveniently labeled them, but the basic theme is that when you read Shakespeare, you get to know that ultimately the power rests in his use of language. He could express all that because of his command over the language, and that to a newly enriched language. And then by early modern times, this became stabilized. So when Dr. Johnson, studied Shakespeare, he said it's one of the richest sources because he could get number of words from there, from Shakespeare. That is one of the reasons. And thus, over a period of time, when you read Shakespeare, it is only not for the sake of the love of the theme, but it is also for the love of language. So that is how and let us now go to the last section. I have summarized that, that is his inventive use of language. Actually expanded, he helped English language with greater nuance, adaptability, and emotional depth. So that is why his plays are still there, his drama is still there, and it has got this timeless, what we call as quality and appeal among the common man or the people there when you read Shakespeare. Okay, so the last slide, and that's an adieu for you also. The last slide. Thanks. And all the pictures that I have used are taken from a site which is free from copyright, and I have made a mention of that, because it's very important when you take pictures and other things, it should be taken from. And it's for the younger generation people there. That's all. So thank you very much. I have restricted myself to the discussion for 1 hour. The reason is this, as you know, when I deal with linguistics, it's always good to make sure that you comprehensively bring all these things within a matter of 1 hour so that people can follow it and people will relish it. That's all. So thank you very much. Thank you for the organizers. Thank you, everyone. And now if you have any questions or points for discussion, you are certainly welcome. And I request the younger members in the group to have a look at these things, and then, if possible, start writing small articles on that, by analyzing Shakespeare, by which it can help you in the days to come as a young researcher. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your very engaging lecture. The forum is now open for discussion and questions from the participants. You can either choose to write your question in the chat box or ask the question directly.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for your such a wonderful lecture. The question I got is, was it possible for Shakespeare to coin so many terms as language was in its first development stage? Because English just has begun to develop in that era.
I couldn't get the last part of your question.
Yeah, English was in development stage. Okay.
Yeah,
So
Nathan,
it was
Nathan.
possible
Yeah.
for Shakespeare. Yeah.
Now, that is what I would say his brilliance. And I can only say like that, because it's even Shakespeare must not have thought about the kind of result, but at least he predicted it quite rightly. Like, this is one way of accommodating the audience by this kind of and then at that time, if you want to sound erudite, you have to use a kind of a language which should capture the imagination of the common man. So maybe that is one of the reason why he thought of doing all those experiments with language or coinages. That is one of the reasons. That is what I would give as a take as far as your question is concerned.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Now, I think somebody has put something in the chat box. Can you help me there?
Yes, sir. There's a question from Soumya Dev Roy. Can you hear? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It says that, could you comment if Bhaktin's heteroglossia can be used in context of Shakespeare's writing? Can you throw light on this, sir?
Yeah, but when you talk about Bhaktin's heteroglossia, there are you have to think of multiple dimensions. You have to talk about different languages, in the sense social languages. You have to talk about different voices, and of course different. And I am sure there are people who have written articles on that, within a single text. That's a very important thing. So I would say that there is a possibility of dealing with that kind of a thing, but you have to place yourself not from the 21st century perspective or from the Bhaktin's perspective. You have to go back to the days in which Shakespeare wrote. So then only you will be able to unearth a possible, what we call as the dialogic tension that is embedded within the discourse. So it may take some time. But still, I believe that there are people who must have written a few articles. Maybe if you search it, you will get that. It's too early to predict on that, but I can't remember any name as such of the article or the time in which it was published. But I have read somewhere about this dialogic tension that is there in Shakespearean writing, especially in his discourse. Yeah, thank you.
Any more questions?
Yeah, may I, madam?
Yeah, of course.
Please
Yes.
go ahead.
Yeah, hello, sir. It's really very informative and engaging lecture. Thank you for the nice lecture. But I just want to, it's not a question, it's just a doubt about it, whether the language, it's poetic language basically, in the lyrical, even in the dramas also. So can we here divide, or can we analyze it from the social strata point of view? It's a elite language, educated people's language, or is it the language of the lower strata, because the audience, or basically it is for the performances, the dramas written, the poetry, the sonnet is again a different sort of writing. But specifically in case of dramas, is it here we have seen, can be possible to analyze it in that sense? Is it elite language for the only for the highly educated people, or is it for all the type of audiences? So can you little bit elaborate that?
Yeah, but I don't know when I say when I use the word elite, for example, it is slightly problematic because one cannot uh, fully go into the social aspects of that when you brand something as elite. What I would like to address that he is quite aware, or he was quite aware of the social texture as such, or maybe the composition of the society or the people who were watching the plays. Now, that is why when you look into the array of discourses, when you look into the text and the kind of dialogue a particular character said in a given context, be it comedies or maybe a part of tragedy, or the list of when you look into that, we can call it as comic relief. But when you look into the language, you can see that it is meant for, which is addressed to a kind of audience. It's already there because the other is too dense, as you said, but they are not wired enough to accommodate all that. So, and maybe in that sense, you must have used the word elite. But he is also careful not to make it too elitist because he is also concerned about that. So, why I say all this, because Shakespeare never thought of coming up with one script, the entire script to the drama club or the group that he maintained at that time. He gave pages. He gave pages to the characters and asked them to learn the portion that is there, and it was all put together. So it was all put together, and then only the characters realize that okay, I play a role with this kind of an emote, or maybe with this kind of a circumstance or the context. Then only it came together. But he must have visualized all that. So that is why, and again, there was also a problem of theft regarding Shakespearean script. So I think you're all familiar with that.
Right.
Yeah. So that is why one of the reasons why he must have thought about all that. It's a very technical kind of a job. Direction and script writing. And Shakespeare was very sensitive to that. He's such a very intelligent kind of a person, I would say, because he could bring in all those factors into play when he prepared a particular text.
Right, sir. So it's a very beautiful combination. Specifically in monologues, the words used are very here we can say very heavy, or we can say elite in the sense for the educated, knowledgeable, or for the aristocrat people. In that sense, it's elite. Yeah, and if you have seen the dialogues and the words used by in the comic relief, basically, they are having very sometimes we can say the words which are not commonly used in the social perspective, that also used. So this combination is really
some of them are quite rustic. Those words were rustic.
Right, rustic, or sometimes abusive sort of words. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.
Sir, there's one question by Mr. Arvind Lilore. He wants to know what is the impact of Shakespeare on present English language?
Oh, it's a big question. There is only that. I would say that Shakespeare is still there among us, and there is not a single day, as far as English teachers are concerned, where we never quote Shakespeare. There is not even a single day, because in one way or the other, we quote, we bring him to the discussion without even naming him. That is what in Malayalam we have such writers where the student or the teacher or the common, of course not the teacher, the common man may not know that it is written by that person, but still they keep on quoting him. And there are a few articles written on that. If you don't know who wrote it, you can attribute it to Shakespeare. That is what people would say. If you don't know the source, say it is from Shakespeare, and nobody will challenge it. I don't. If I'll get time, I'll share that article with the organizers. Beautiful article on that. So similarly, there are even writers maybe in Marathi, I'm sure, where it is so popular by which you use that expression, and finally people may not know it is taken from which source, but if you don't know the source, you say that, okay, it must be from that particular writer. That is why Shakespeare is still there, among us, among our writing, among our thoughts, in our classrooms, everywhere.
Sir, Dr. Supanta Bhattacharya has a question for you. How relevant is the popularity of his plays for so many of his coinages to get embedded in the English language?
Yeah, exactly. That is what my entire discussion was, I would say. These words are part of the discourse. These words are part of the discussion for a long time, by which those elements which are embedded are there. It comes out at regular intervals, and the sense in which we understand his plays, it is still there. There is no doubt about that. So my attempt was to say that these coinages, these words, they are historically relevant. At the same time, they are still relevant in the contemporary sense. That is why I would say that these things go together, side by side.
Thank you, sir. That was indeed a very, very engaging lecture. So now I deem it a great honor to propose the vote of thanks for today's enlightening session. So first and foremost, I extend my deepest gratitude to the resource person of the day, Dr. Murali Krishnan TR, for his insightful and stimulating lecture. Sir, your clarity, your deep understanding of Shakespeare's language, and your rich linguistic insights have truly enriched us. Your lecture, peppered with statistics, has reminded us that Shakespeare didn't merely write plays. He created a linguistic universe. He expanded the possibilities of expression, leaving us a vocabulary that still breathes, inspires, and connects us across time. So, sir, we are sincerely grateful for the time, expertise, and generosity with which you shared your knowledge today. Our heartfelt thanks also go to the organizing committee, whose dedication and behind-the-scene efforts have ensured the smooth and successful conduct of this program. Their meticulous planning with constant support deserves sincere appreciation. And of course, a warm thank you to all the participants for your enthusiastic presence, thoughtful engagement, and continued commitment to this cause. Your curiosity and active involvement give true meaning to this academic endeavor. With that, we formally conclude today's session. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day ahead.
Thank you all of you.
Thank you.